news at 4. Have a great day. Be safe, be kind, and be well.
Next stop, Sherry.
Very, very busy week. I'm your host here, Anita Blanton, and I'll be with you through 4 p.m. It is yet another day with plenty to talk about in the time that we have together. So let's start off with a look at what we have lined up for this first hour together, everyone, today. Neighborhood Watch. Not Neighborhood Crime Watch signs in Ann Arbor are being removed. Many people have been calling on that move for a while. They wanted that change. Other residents are trying to wrap their brains around how Neighborhood Crime Watch signs even became controversial. We'll talk about it with a reporter who has been following it detail by detail, development by development, a reporter from our sister station in Detroit. Also, another big talker that you've probably seen plenty of commercials about in the last several weeks. I know I have. An Illinois law set to go into effect this summer would ban interchange fees on taxes and tips. Well, you know, obviously we hear from politicians about these things, but we're actually going to talk today with the owner of 5 taverns on the north side of Chicago and hear that perspective. It's always good to hear different perspectives on the same particular topic. And he says that he expects to save big bucks as a result of this. So we will hear from him soon. Also, by 2027, if you didn't know, cars sold in the United States may be required to monitor the person behind the wheel in real time. So there are a lot of questions there, obviously. We're going to be bringing on a data privacy and digital surveillance expert, Harry Moggins. He's been here with us before. Looking forward to kind of digging into that particular topic with him coming up shortly as well. But first, I'm going to talk about our big topic of the day. Actually, two big topic of the day and a big topic of the week, okay? I want you to look at a live picture from what is our big topic of the day. That is Mayday and the protests that have been going on. We have a live look from our chopper high up above Grant Park. The protests, rallies are already starting there. This was set to start at 1 p.m. there, so the crowd has been growing over the last hour or so as people get ready for that to get underway in earnest. Of course, there were so many questions about Mayday and how CPS would handle it. There was a back and forth. The new CPS CEO said school would be in session. The CTU fought for school to be out. They kind of met in the middle and said school would be in session. However, they would permit buses to CPS buses to take students who would like to be a part of Mayday activities to Grant Park for the protests that would be underway. Not Grant Park, Union Park, where these activities were going on. And so they said they would allow the students to leave for the day, and the students that would be in class would then have like a civic day of learning. So plenty of signs out there, plenty of people. Again, the crowd is growing. We apologize if any of these signs have anything explicit on them, but this is Mayday, and again, it does have significant meaning, especially in the city of Chicago. We're anticipating that Mayor Brandon Johnson will be speaking sometime in the next half hour. If that does happen, we'll try to go there and make the rest of our planned conversations kind of work around it. So that is a big story for the day, of course. But our big story for the week has really been the tragedy and the developments coming out of the tragedy that took place at Swedish Hospital last weekend. Pretty much every day this week there's been a new development, and for those who may not know, last weekend there was an armed robbery suspect who was taken into custody. He was taken to Swedish Hospital for an evaluation because he said that he had swallowed a bag of drugs. And somehow, some way, during that time in Swedish Hospital, he was able to access a gun and shoot 2 Chicago police officers. He killed one of those officers, Officer John Bartholomew, and he severely, critically injured the second officer. Now, one of our best updates of the week this week has been that second officer who was fighting for their life has shown some signs of progress. We're so glad to be able to report that. But we know that the man who was a suspect in all of this, he is in custody. He will stay in custody. That was an update as he was, taken in for a pretrial hearing. He will stay in custody. He's also going through the legal system for charges that he was already facing before any of what happened over the weekend. So there have been plenty of developments throughout the week. And as the week has been going on, never forget, as the legal process is playing itself out, as conversations about the Safety Act and electronic monitoring are happening, they're real families, real people who are struggling right now with the loss of a father, of a brother, a husband, and the severe injuries of another officer who is still going through a long journey ahead. And that really has to be the center, regardless of all of the other things that are happening. They have a long journey ahead, both of those families. And so it's beautiful to see the people who have been stepping forward. Right around this time yesterday, we introduced you to a woman who was with a company that was selling giving free blue lights into different districts where you can show your support, where, police officers can drive down the street and see that they are loved and respected in the area. But today, we're so glad to be able to introduce you to a manager of Riley's daughter, Oak Lawn, who is helping in another way. Brendan O'Brien, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me about you all's effort and what you're doing and how people can be involved.
So starting today at 5 p.m., we are selling shirts for Officer Bartholomew, and all the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds will go directly to his family. Anybody starting at 5 p.m. can come out, and when we sell out of the shirts, which we expect to do, hopefully sometime this evening, we'll transition immediately to an online store, and anybody can go on our Facebook page or our Instagram page and order anywhere in the lower 48. You can purchase a shirt online, have it shipped anywhere in the country. And again, 100% of proceeds will go directly to Officer Bartholomew's family.
That is wonderful. What made you all decide to do this?
I'm a second generation owner of Riley's. My father started Riley's. It'll be 50 years this June. And it's something that I grew up watching my father do my whole life, helping the community out. And I was raised to help people when they're in need. And that is, this tragic times that we're going through now. It's not something I want to do, but I feel like I have an obligation to the community. And it's just something you have to do to help your neighbors, help your people in need. And I live in the Mount Greenwood neighborhood of Chicago, so we're, lots of cops, firemen, city workers, a lot of my relatives. So it really hits home when something like this happens, and everybody coming together. The amount of people that have been stopping by throughout the week, just with envelopes, with put this towards. They saw us on previous news broadcasts and just said, I know the shirts aren't in yet, but when they come in, I don't even need a shirt, but please just give this to his family. And, it really shows that the community, is just so supportive in times of tragedy. Nobody wants to deal with it, but it's unfortunate when it happens. Anybody who steps up and helps out, I can't say enough about them and the community that we live in. So it's I really hope the best for his family in the future going forward.
Mm-hmm. And did you know Officer Bartholomew? Had you come in contact with him before?
Not.
Okay.
I did not, but when I found out about it last Saturday, I was with a bunch of Chicago police officers I grew up with. Quite a few of them knew him personally, said he was a great individual. So just going off of what they said, it's a terrible, terrible tragedy. And, I just wish all the best to his family going forward.
Yeah, terrible tragedy.
Terrible.
And take me back to last Saturday. I mean, when you found out, what was that like?
Well, unfortunately, I said to myself, I can't believe we're dealing with this again.
Mm-hmm.
We had done this for firefighter Michael Altman, not even a month ago. I'm pretty sure it was, unfortunately, and he resided in Mount Greenwood in my neighborhood, St. Christina Parish, and we did the same for him, and raised a lot of money. Neighborhood came together, and it's I did not think I'd be doing this so close, kind of back to back here in a short amount of time. It's tragic. It's terrible. Having two senseless crimes that could have been prevented, and these poor guys. And it's just I don't want to do this anytime in the near future. I can say that.
Absolutely. I mean, these are the things you don't want to have to do. You don't
Right.
have to do it, but at the same time, it really is an honorable thing for those who may not even know the people involved, the heroes involved, to step
Yes.
forward and say, let me do what I can.
Yes, it really shows I guess you could say the kindness of people and people that obviously didn't know him, just stopping in, giving donations, cash donations, writing checks. It's unbelievable. It just shows that there's a lot of good people out in this world and in this community, and they really come together in times of tragedy.
Yeah, and when you say that, these could have been prevented, anyone who hasn't followed closely to these two stories, firefighter Altman was working a fire. He was on the first floor of a working fire when that first floor gave way. He fell into the basement of that particular structure, and later we learned that someone essentially had been squatting and lit a mattress on fire in that particular structure, left out, didn't say a word to anyone as the building was set aflame. So that particular story, again, here's somebody who had been kicked out of a home, came back and lit a mattress on fire, and it ultimately took a firefighter's life, fourth generation firefighter's life. And
Yes.
then in this situation, you have someone with such a long history, long criminal history, that it does make a lot of people scratch their heads.
Sure does. Yeah, it's a terrible thing, and I just I hope that we don't have to deal with this anytime in the near future. I mean, that's something that it really it's a sad thing, and God bless the community we live in and the city we live in, and the people that are really coming out to help in these tragic times.
Well, God bless you as well. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
what you're doing. One more time, if people want to get a shirt, what do they need to do?
If they want to get a shirt, starting this evening at Riley's Daughter, 4010 West 111th Street, we'll have them available for pickup starting at 5 p.m. The minute we run out in-house, which we expect to tonight at some point, immediately we're going to transition to an online store. Anybody can go to our Facebook page or our Instagram page, click a link on there, and our provider, Marathon Sportswear. You click the link, order, I believe all sizes, kid sizes included, on the online link will be available, and they will ship anywhere in the country, basically.
Thank you for what you're doing. I definitely hope
Thank
that
you.
you sell out again and again.
I hope we do too, and raise as much money as we can for his family. That's the main goal here.
That is the goal. Thank you for your efforts.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Have a great weekend. That was Brendan O'Brien again from Riley's Daughter, Oak Lawn. Love what they are doing, and that again, there are so many different people who are coming up with ways to be of support to this family. My heart broke just to see, the wife and son leaving out of one of the court cases, one of the court cases this week for the suspect, Alfonso Talley. Family changed forever. but it is very nice to see people who are chipping in to say thank you for the sacrifice made on behalf of this city and to help this family that will have a long road ahead of them. It's 1:15. We're going to take a 2-minute break and we'll be back. Hey, welcome back, everyone. 1:17 right now. And, we talk about technology, the pros and cons of AI and advanced technology all the time. And it will especially become clear that there are serious pros and some real questions about what could happen with cars sold in the United States come 2027. If you get a new car around that time, it may be able to offer some surveillance on you in real time as you are behind the wheel, kind of keeping an eye on your movement here, analyzing your behavior, and assessing whether you are alert on the road. I mean, immediate pros and cons there, right? Let's go ahead and bring in data privacy and digital surveillance expert Harry Moggins back to the show. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
So even just in saying those words, I'm thinking, well, I mean, could it track if someone is perhaps maybe, going to sleep behind the wheel and help out? Could it track if someone is possibly under the influence behind the wheel and therefore help out and save a life? But then also the privacy. I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
Sure. At first pass, it makes a lot of sense, right? Hey, we save some lives. People who are intoxicated should not drive a vehicle. It's a great story as a top line headline. The risk is the privacy side. The law that passed was Section 24220 of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. This is going back a number of years. The governing body that regulates highway safety and vehicle safety is the NHTSA. They were supposed to put rules in place based on this law of how cars monitor drivers. They were supposed to do that a couple years ago, about a year and a half ago. They missed the deadline. They're actively trying to get these rules put in place. But the risk is the technology, right? They're saying they need to have infrared cameras in the A-frame and the corners of your vehicle. They need to track your eye movements, your pupil dilation, your head movements, behavioral signals. This technology exists today, especially on General Motors vehicles, for example. It'll warn you if it thinks you're getting drowsy, if you're driving late and hitting lines, or starting to look like you're nodding off, or playing on a cell phone while driving. Modern cars oftentimes will detect that and alert the driver. The problem is, and for anybody who has a modern car like that, they're not very accurate. The number of times I've been driving perfectly safe in the middle of the afternoon and getting you want to stop for a coffee break notice on my car, it's not there yet. And the law requires a 99.9% accuracy because it's coupled with some pretty serious impacts where you can't drive the car. It won't let you start the car, or it could limit your speeds in some cases. So having a machine monitor you as a human and decide what you can and cannot do with the vehicle while stopping drunk drivers sounds great. That's, in my opinion, a massive violation of privacy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe having it installed after someone has gotten a DUI, but just every car being retrofitted with this, kind of seems like a bit much right now. But maybe we're just not there yet. Maybe we're just not there yet. Who knows how we'll be feeling? I mean, says 2027. That's not far away, but I don't know. It's a pretty drastic leap.
Usually when the NHTSA issues rules for automakers, they give 2 to 3 years heads up. So the original launch date was 2027. It's possible, but it's more likely it's going to get pushed back a year or two. That said, it is coming. The law was signed. It was passed. February of this year, Trump funded it, which means there's no other off-ramps unless they overturn it somehow. It's an actual signed law, which is terrifying. And it's not just the privacy side. It goes beyond your vehicle because the data doesn't stay in your car. When they're tracking your head motion, they're tracking your awakeness, your alertness, your suspected sobriety. That data gets sent up to the automaker, and their servers, their cloud tracks that on a driver level and an owner level who owns the car. And there's historical precedent where automakers sell that data to data brokers like LexisNexis, who then historically built a driver safety model that was sold to insurance companies. They're trying to make it fuzzy and de-identify it is the word. But at the end of the day, it gets back to your insurance companies and they can adjust your personal rates based on your car spying on you. And I know some insurance companies have that as an opt-in to let your car track you and report back. I think Allstate does that. But this is not an optional thing. This is every new car would automatically report it. And that's just the insurance implications. Then you think about police, you think about other government organizations who buy from these data brokers. You lose control of a pretty private moment when you're driving your car by yourself, and there's nothing in the law that restricts where the data can go and who they can sell it to.
So do we know, we're kind of speaking in maybe generalities as to what it could do, but in the law, did it set any parameters as to how far they can go with this stuff?
That's the slight silver lining. The law requires a 99.9% accuracy standard to override vehicle functions. The NHTSA said there is no automaker today actually hitting that level of accuracy. Almost every major automaker has in-cabin cameras, or they have some kind of eye tracking technology. It's very common these days, but it's not very accurate. So I think that's also the silver lining. There's a chance they might delay things because you can't have a law unenforceable. And if there's no automaker today that's able to be creepy enough to track you well enough to stop your car from starting, they're not going to roll that out to the whole market. So we'll see what happens the next, 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, and then if it's sent to your insurance or say, law enforcement authorities, is there a way of arguing that? That's an interesting question because right now they don't violate your privacy legally because they fuzzy it.
It's called de-identification. So whenever they sell your data to a data broker, or when the DMV sells your data in some states, they can't simply say it was John Doe at 123 Elm Street that was driving drunk. That's too explicit. So what they do is they take it and roll it into an artificial intelligence model or a machine learning model, and they say there's a 92.7% chance John Doe at Elm Street was driving drunk. So by having that fuzzy probability, they're avoiding the legal liability of an explicit claim. And that's kind of the loophole they're using right now. So the question is, if that probability is enough to justify changing rates, I would not be surprised if we have some massive class action lawsuits coming about privacy violations around these car changes they're going to make.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking, like, if you consider like red light cameras, and you get something in the mail and it actually shows you, your argument is kind of null and void, essentially, if it's showing you a picture of you going through this intersection and giving you all of the data. But like a camera within your own vehicle, I'm just wondering, like, what it would generate and send out that you're unaware of, that you would even be able to say, no, that's not what it was, or it didn't look like what it was.
For sure. That's just terrifying. I mean, there's been examples where Tesla specifically has pulled interior cabin footage after an accident to prove what the driver was doing. And I think they've made some changes since that was in the news cycle a year or two ago. But it shows they have the capability. And, I don't think we're as far off if we continue to normalize privacy exploitation like this from having it where you don't just get a speeding ticket in the mail, you get a DUI citation in the mail. Or on a safety measure, it could actually hurt safety by saying they're suspecting you're driving in an intoxicated state, so they're capping your miles per hour. That's another thing the law could do. It can actually limit how fast your car can go if you're already driving. What if you're in a situation that's an emergency, and you're frantic and you're not acting like yourself, and a false positive could leave you in harm's way. There's so many edge cases. It's such a reckless law. And a lot of this boils down to the normalization of privacy exploitation, right? There's so many corporations trying to automate things nowadays, trying to get visibility to your private life to either under the guise of stopping DUIs or under the guise of protecting children in some laws, or privacy is under assault, and it's really up to the average person to stand up and fight back, or they'll just continue to take advantage, and it's a scary future.
Well, it's a slippery slope for sure. Thank you so much for your time. You've probably piqued all of our interest and got all of our minds going. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. We'll see you next time. 128, everyone. If we still have a live picture, let's go ahead and show everyone what we're seeing here in the city. The Mayday protests that are taking place. That's the head of the CTU there. CTU and the Illinois Federation of Teachers. Stacey Davis Gates. It looks like there's Delia Ramirez behind her. I see Alderman William Hall there as well.
They just introduced me as a union leader, but I want you to know that in this moment, I am a history teacher that negotiated a civic day of education for all of Chicago's children to understand the power of workers and solidarity. That's what my union has done. They are giving an education throughout this city about why coalition work is possible, and about why when workers are engaged in coalition work, we don't just make it better for ourselves, we make it better for this country. And these are lessons that we have to remind ourselves in this moment, because today I thought I was going to get up here and lament the fact that billionaires gave us a president that is dismantling democracy. I thought I was going to lament that billionaires gave us a right-wing Congress that's just watching him do it. And then I thought that I was going to talk about a Supreme Court also put together by billionaires that is going to try and stop us from doing anything about it. But then I remembered the power of workers because I'm a history teacher. And as a history teacher, I need to remind you of the power of workers. See, workers during a war left plantations and broke the backs of the Confederacy. And in obtaining their liberation, they made the government issue a decree codifying their liberation as workers. See, without that, you don't even get a labor movement. But with that courage, they formed coalition with abolitionists, both black and white, and led by women. And these people reunited this country, but not in the same way, because when they reunited this country, they abolished slavery. They established citizenship and due process. And they enfranchised more.
All right, just a bit of the comments there from the president of the Illinois Federation of Teachers and the CTU, Stacey Davis Gates. This, again, is the Mayday rally that's happening in Union Park. We do anticipate that Mayor Brandon Johnson will be speaking there soon. When he speaks, we'll try to get back there live, but our next guest is on the line. So let's go ahead and take a 2-minute break. We'll come back, have that conversation, and we'll see where we go in terms of our live events. Welcome back, everyone. It's about 1:35. Plenty that we are going to try to kind of make our way through here. But let's start with the state battle over fees for credit cards, especially when it comes to taxes and tips. We've heard many sides of this, but maybe not from the business owners so much themselves. And so we have the president and co-founder of Two Bears Tavern Group, Mark Robertson, who is joining us now. Thank you so much for your time today.
Hey, I'm happy to be here.
Explain how you see this bill affecting your businesses.
Well, this particular bill being in the tavern industry where we are in hospitality, so all of our employees earn tips, and we pay a lot of taxes to the state and local governments, it's particularly impactful. So for us, owning 5 smaller taverns on the north side of the city, we're looking at somewhere between $25,000 to $40,000 a year of potential savings if this is enabled to go into effect. So that is just the credit card fees that we're paying on the tips and the taxes, which are funds that are never ours to begin with. So tips belong to our employees, taxes belong to the government. So those funds never remit to us, but we pay about that much, $25,000 to $40,000 a year, depending on the sales that year, in fees on those.
Mm-hmm. And the $25,000 to $40,000 a year that you're paying, can you kind of explain how that has gradually increased over time with people's habits changing?
Sure. So a lot of people, 10 years or so ago paid cash when you went to a bar. That was just what you did. So about 10 years ago, less than half of our payments were on credit cards. Today, about 99% of the payments we receive come through on some form of a card, whether it's a debit card or credit card. So for cash, there isn't a fee to accept cash, but for credit cards, there's a fee. And the share of that fee of our revenue each year has grown substantially, well outside of the realm of inflationary growth. But then even more so, as credit card companies and banks have started to compete with one another to offer more and more rewards for customers, they've raised those fees to support those things. So when you have a lounge at an airport where you're earning double or triple miles, or you're getting 5% cash back somewhere, those are being paid for by the fees that businesses like ours are paying on your transactions. So while it's a great reward for the consumer, it's not being paid for necessarily by the banks. It's being paid for by the businesses that are accepting those credit cards.
And it does seem like a lot of banks are up in arms over this particular change. But it has also been presented in many outlets as hurting businesses.
Well, I'm not sure. So I guess it might hurt the airline industry, who by some accounts, their profits are entirely made up of selling credit card miles to banks for rewards programs. But for businesses like us, if there's a reduction in these fees, it's not going to hurt the consumer. We have room then to either lower our costs, so thereby not raise our prices as much, or even lower our prices, or we can employ more people. So the idea that this is somehow going to hurt businesses, it's not going to hurt businesses. This is, yes, it will reduce the profits of these large banks. Potentially they will pay less for the miles and points. Potentially your credit card rewards won't be 5%, maybe it'll be some smaller percentage. But the idea that this is going to hurt business to lower these, it's billions of dollars a year of profit into the financial sector from the retail, hospitality, any business that's accepting credit cards.
Very interesting perspective, and that's why we try to pull in as many people into these types of conversations as possible. And so you are a proponent of this.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And tell me a little bit about Two Bears Tavern Group.
So Two Bears Tavern Group is comprised of 5 LGBTQ taverns on the north side of the city, Uptown, Andersonville, and Rogers Park. We own Two Bears Tavern Uptown, the Sofa Tap, Meeting House Tavern, Marty's Martini Bar, and Jackhammer.
And so having so many different businesses, there have been several different conversations about things, especially when it comes to tipped wages, that we've been hearing numerous voices on. Explain to me, even from the city perspective, because this, what we called you in for today, of course, is the state battle, but then, of course, there's the city conversation as well. Do you see that the same as the state battle?
No, those are two different issues. So the city issue with respect to tip wages has to do with the tip minimum wage, which is lower than the standard minimum wage. Now, in order for a business to pay the tip minimum wage, the employee has to earn at least enough in tips to make up the difference. So if the tip minimum wage is something lower than actual minimum wage, say it's $2 an hour lower, the employee would have to make $2 an hour at minimum in tips. Otherwise, the business has to pay that. We as a business don't use the tip wage. We pay the full minimum wage. But it's an issue for many neighborhood restaurants and bars. If their wages are going to go up, so effective July 1, presumably the tip wage will rise about 13.5% from where it is today. That's a huge increase in labor costs for a hospitality business. So there's a big impact on that for these businesses to absorb. And it's happening at the same time we're seeing oil prices rise, which is causing us to have delivery fees that are increased. It's raising the cost of almost everything that we use, but we're also coming on the back of 5 years of outsized inflation and the lasting impacts of COVID on these industries. So all of us are sort of battling a multi-front war here on our price structure. And at the same time, we have consumers who are being impacted by all of these same elements, which results in them not being able to necessarily take on a price increase that it would take to maintain the same level of margins. Thus, you're going to see some seriously struggling neighborhood businesses if there isn't something that gives somewhere. So while the state and the local issue with respect to tips, tip wages and tips are different, they are interconnected. The idea that the swipe fee on tips could be eliminated does reduce the costs and effectively enables the businesses to absorb more of those labor cost increases.
And that, again, is why we called you in here. You laid that out excellently. Thank you so much. Because, again, if we're not in the business, we're just hearing the voices of others who, obviously everyone kind of has a different outlook on things. You're in this. I'm sure talk to other business owners. You're hearing what everyone is going through. And so that is needed in the conversation.
We really appreciate the opportunity to at least shed some light on what those of us who are sort of in the trenches on the streets, on our main streets, are seeing, feeling, and experiencing real time. This is definitely a much bigger issue than what the banks who are presenting what I would call disinformation campaigns around this issue are actually telling you. And an important thing everyone has to understand is there's a lot of different levers that businesses, small to large, can pull to address rising costs. It isn't just immediately we have to raise our prices. We could reduce employee headcounts, we could reduce benefits. In the case of the tips and swipe fees, legally speaking, a business can actually deduct those swipe fees from the tips before paying them to the employees. We do not do that. Some businesses do, but there is a situation where if there isn't something being controlled in the marketplace, such as this swipe fee law in Illinois, it could result in a situation where employees actually take home less of their tips as businesses begin to cut or to take back what they are legally allowed to take, which is that swipe fee. So all of these tipped employees, where the federal government just gave them no tax on their tips, could end up paying a 3% fee on their tips that are paid by credit card, simply to transfer that money to these very large banks and financial institutions.
Wow. Again, outsiders wouldn't necessarily know all of those details. And there's, as you said, it's a multifaceted conversation in terms of what our business owners, our small business owners are dealing with right now. Thank you so much for coming here on the show. Really appreciate it. And come back anytime. I'm in to address different things that again, small business owners and especially restaurant owners are going through.
We really appreciate the time. We really appreciate the opportunity to shed light on sort of what we are actually experiencing on the streets.
Yeah. Take care. Thank you. And have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too.
Mm-hmm. All right, everyone. It's 1:43 right now. We will take a 2-minute break and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. 1:45 right now. Before we get to our next conversation, let's give you a live look to LA. We've been monitoring things in terms of Mayday protests here at home. This is a live look out to LA. Of course, Mayday has been an annual day of protest for the labor movement. Many active protests that are going on throughout the country. This is just one of them, growing in size as we are going through the hours that we are here for Chicago Live. We'll kind of, when we see these live pictures pop up, go to them as they are coming to us. But again, this is what's happening in Los Angeles today. We are still awaiting Mayor Johnson to speak at the protest that's happening here in Chicago and Union Park. When he gets up to speak, we will let you know. But our next conversation is really about neighborhood crime watch signs. Some people advocate for them to be put up, and in Ann Arbor, Michigan, there is a concerted movement to have them taken down. And we're getting into the why behind that with Camille Amiri from our sister station, Fox Detroit. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, of course, I hope you're doing really well today.
Doing well. A lot of questions as to what's going on there with these signs being taken down. And they're being taken down by the city as a result of protests?
Yeah. No, well, here's the thing. So this kind of came upon quietly. We didn't know about it until it posted on their Facebook page 3 days ago, video of the city council people actually taking the signs down. They voted on this and it passed, and so they took all these neighborhood watch signs. I know everyone's seen them across the country. They look different from state to state, but basically they're just usually have like an eye, or maybe they have someone that looks like a little criminal, like with a coat up. Basically, there's about 600 of them here in Ann Arbor. They've been up since the 1970s. And there is, according to the city council people, there is no neighborhood watch program. There is no surveillance. They're just up there. There was at one time many, many years ago, back in the 1970s when those signs first came up. But now city council people and the mayor are saying, look, these signs send the wrong message. They're saying that these send us, if you look a certain way, that maybe you're not welcome here and maybe we don't want you here. And they say that we want to be an inclusive city. That's what they say. And they took them all down. We don't know as far as the cost goes. We're hearing different numbers. The interesting thing about this, Anita, is that no one will talk to us. We have reached out to every city council person, the mayor, the city administrator. And sorry, I'm hearing you say something else about Churchill Downs. But anyway, I'll keep talking. So we're not hearing back from anybody as to why. We know why, but kind of want to know what prompted them to do this and what the cost is. And did the cost come out of taxpayer dollars? So we have a lot of questions. We've been talking to people, residents in Ann Arbor, who are mixed. Some say it's a good idea. Some say it's not a good idea. So it's an interesting topic. It's a big talker for sure.
It's a big talker for sure. I mean, I'm so glad you talked about the fact that they've been there since the 70s, because I can remember the campaigns, early in life for these to be put into neighborhoods. And it wasn't about necessarily the police being involved in the neighborhood. It was about neighbors wanting them up to show that this was a neighborhood where people looked out for each other.
Absolutely. And that is what people who we talk to out on the streets here in Ann Arbor said. Like, it's not necessarily about the police and about cameras and about surveillance, but it's about, hey, we're going to watch out. And if something looks suspicious, we're going to call the police. So we've got our eyes and ears open. And that's what some people say, without those signs, that those signs do kind of act as a deterrent. Without them, maybe people will be more, apt to go into some of these neighborhoods. So Ann Arbor is a really low crime rate. It's about 45 miles away from Detroit. It's a college town. Not a lot of crime here at all, but still, you've got those petty criminals that will break into cars that are unlocked or the homes that are unlocked. A lot of people in favor of this say that, in keeping the signs, is that, yeah, they do send that message. And without them, will we see an increase in crime? I guess that remains to be seen. But yeah, it's definitely, if you go on Ann Arbor Facebook page, a lot of people are commenting. Some people are for it, some people against it. Some people are saying, is this even a problem? Why are we even talking about it? So it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah, talking about it and paying for it. That is very interesting indeed. Thank you so much, Camille. We certainly appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
Good discussion there, and another example of how people can just see things very differently. It is 1:50 though, and we are getting ready for a weekend where, you have one of the most prestigious races that'll be happening at Churchill Downs. I think they call it the fastest 2 minutes in sports that'll be happening this weekend. We're talking about the Kentucky Derby, and so delighted to have a presence in our show today from the Kentucky Derby. Thank you so much for being here.
Happy Derby.
Happy Derby. Now, do you have your outfit ready?
I do. Well, today is Oaks Day, so you have to incorporate the pink. I've done that. And pink for the lilies. It's the Kentucky Oaks. And by the way, that'll be airing this evening on national television in prime time at 8 o'clock for the first time. That's the Derby sister race. It's for the fillies. So it's the female equivalent of the Kentucky Derby. And we have a crowd of about 100,000 people on hand today. Tomorrow, we expect a crowd of around 150,000 people. And a year ago, not just the people on track, but people all over the world wagered more than $349 million on the Kentucky Derby. So it's really become a massive event. This is year 152. We've had it every year since 1875. Even ran it when we had World War I, World War II, even moved it to September when we had COVID back in 2020. So we've run it uninterrupted for this will be the 152nd consecutive year, which is the longest of any sporting event in the United States.
Wow. And there's so much history. There's so much pageantry along with it as well.
Yeah, look, I think you could make a case. It's America's most extravagant springtime sports party since the Super Bowl, right? I mean, so everybody gathers for Super Bowl Sunday. You get people together, you watch the big game. For the Derby, a year ago on NBC, the viewership topped out at 20 million viewers when it crossed the wire. Those are numbers that I think Major League Baseball, the NHL, the NBA, they're very envious of those numbers. So it's the outside of the NFL or college football, I believe it's the most watched sporting event in the country. So we're very much looking to all the festivities. Yeah, we've got the traditions, the hat. You mentioned it's the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. It's so much more than a 2-minute horse race that'll go off at 7 o'clock. Here in Louisville, it's kind of a 2-week whirlwind of special events that lead up to the race. The economic impact to the city and the Commonwealth of Kentucky is about $420 million. So it's a bucket list event where people come in from all over the world. They put on their big hats, the flamboyant clothes. You have to sip a mint julep, sing My Old Kentucky Home, and take in all the fun festivities.
Now, how hard is it to get a ticket into Churchill Downs for the big race?
Well, first of all, I would say it's the only major sporting event where you could probably walk up to the gate and buy a general admission ticket on the day of the event. Now, that would restrict you to the infield only, and I can tell you I'm too old for the infield. I'm too old for the infield. So you want to get a ticket, just visit KentuckyDerby.com. There's actually, I know you're in the Chicago area, that people can make that 5-hour drive. It is still there's tickets available. It is nearly sold out. There's just some limited tickets left, but it is an event that's very much in high demand.
And okay, so yes, there's some general admission left, and for whoever wants to just be a part of the atmosphere. But let's say what's the highest what's the highest amount people pay to be there?
Well, I can tell you, well, I mean, if you have a private suite that usually is north of 20 guests, that is in the $100,000 range. But I'll just give you an example. The new Woodford Reserve Paddock Club, it's absolutely fabulous. You can get a seat on the glass. Now, you got to buy a table of 4, 6, or 8. But each seat, now you get both the Oaks and Derby Day, so it's a 2-day ticket.
Okay.
with all inclusive food and beverage. It's all covered. $16,800 a seat.
A seat.
A seat, and guess what? It's sold out.
Somebody's ready to do it.
There's an experience for every guest here, and that's one of the things we take pride in. There are so many different levels. Just visit KentuckyDerby.com and you'll be able to see the different experiences that we have.
Listen, I mean, I think it's one of those like bucket list types of things where you're like you said, like the Super Bowl, where you're like, at some point in time in life want to go to a Super Bowl. It's a bucket list. At some point in time in life, I need to go to Churchill Downs for the Kentucky Derby at some point in time in life. So maybe people are willing to, shell it out per seat because they're like, at some point, this is my point, that kind of thing. Now, what I remember from last year is that everyone came out in their finest duds, women and men, all dolled up and looking dirty because of the rain.
They got hot and dirty.
Poured.
Yeah, it was so amazingly, we get some form of precipitation about 48% of the derbies. 70 of the 151 that we've run have had some trace of precip at some point during the day. But the good news is we're looking at clear skies, a fast racetrack, no precipitation today or tomorrow, but it's chilly. We're going to be I think it's going to be the coldest Derby since 1989 in 29 years. So it's going to be a high of about 58, 59 degrees. The men are going to be fine in our suits. It's just the women in their dresses that we're going to hear. They're going to be having to make some last minute audibles, maybe put on a jacket or a sweater of some sort.
Or they'll say, beauty is pain, pain is beauty, and just ride it out.
Dang right.
Are there some we always love to hear the names of the horses too. Are there some interesting names this year?
Well, yeah, I think, there's fun names. One, you have Albus. Albus is a character from Harry Potter. Then you have the ones that I like. I mean, Chief Wallaby. I don't know what Chief Wallaby is, who Chief Wallaby is, who he's named after. I believe it's after a shoe. And then you have a horse like the Puma. The Puma is a funny name. I guess it's a nickname for the trainer Gustavo Delgado. He's from Venezuela, and I believe there was a kind of a Rico Suave Venezuelan singer that had big flowing locks, and apparently the trainer looks just like this Venezuelan singer, and the singer was nicknamed the Puma, so they called the horse the Puma after his father, the trainer. So there's always fun names from Golden Tempo to Incredibolt. And then there's crisp names, the ones that sound like Derby winners. Commandment, Renegade.
Yeah.
Those horses sound like Derby winners.
Well, I didn't think that journalism sounded like a Derby winner, but it was awesome to watch journalism before. And then
he was awesome to watch him, but he wasn't the Derby winner. You had a horse by the name of Sovereignty, who named after a crown, right? So it's funny how the Derby gods work. There's a lot of storylines, but you don't usually see goofy named horses win the Derby. Yeah. They always have regally crisp names.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And my producer she was looking at the Oaks and saw one named She's So Spicy.
Love it. Isn't it great? Yeah, she's running on the card. She's not running in the Oaks, but she's running in a female race on Oaks Day, and she is so spicy. She's every bit of that. We've got one of the horses in the Oaks tonight is named Zany. I just love that.
Zany.
I just think that's named after a crazy girl. zany.
Oh my. Oh, and so how long do people usually, if they're coming in, do they make it a weekend trip? Do they make it a week-long trip? What do you typically plan on?
They do. Yeah, they usually are traveling on Thursdays. The out-of-towners, they come out here, Friday and Saturday. And when you come out on Oaks Day, you have the ability to come out here, spend the day, afterwards grab a bite to eat around town. We're such a foodie town here in Louisville. It's a great culinary scene. You may attend a post-event charity party. They have Barnstable Brown Party to Unbridled Eve. We host Taste of Derby. There are so many different events you can take in. And then, of course, Derby Day itself. So tomorrow's Derby Day program, the Derby is one of 14 races. It goes as race 12 just after it would be 7 o'clock Eastern, so 6 o'clock Central. And the first race is at 11 a.m. The last race is at 8:30 at night. So people that come on the scene, they don't have to get here for all 14 races. They're well spaced. You can watch all of them on, from noon to 2:30 Eastern on NBCSN or Peacock, and then it switches to NBC at 2:30 to 7:30.
Mm-hmm. And
I know that's competing. My apologies for plugging. Of course, you'd be watching here. You'd be watching here.
We'll have the highlights.
If you want to switch over for the race at 7 o'clock, your viewers and your bosses will forgive.
We'll have the highlights here, everyone.
Yeah.
We'll let you know who won.
Right.
On a final note, I remember I was telling my producers that I remember watching a story last year. I think it was about is it the Bugler?
Oh, Steve Buttleman.
Yeah.
Well, he's been here a number of years. Steve, he blows the call to the post. He's a pillar in our community. He's done this for over 30 years now.
Yeah.
And he's just a familiar face. I'll tell you one thing about Steve Buttleman, our bugler. Not only does he, blow the call to the post, but any charitable organization in town that has an event, they call him up and they ask him, would you mind launching the event by blowing the call to the post? We'd really appreciate it. He shows up to every one of them.
Oh.
He's got the kindest heart. I remember when my son's now 20, but when he was in the kindergarten, he showed up at the kindergarten derby party at the school and played My Old Kentucky Home.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, he's that kind of guy. So Steve Buttleman, you'll recognize him in his familiar red suit as he brings the horses onto the track for the Kentucky Derby.
Well, so much that we could talk about when it comes to, again, this one weekend or week in sports. But thank you so much for coming on the show today to give us an inside scoop on what's going to be happening, what is already happening in Churchill Downs this weekend. And best of luck. Have a mint julep for all the rest of us.
I will certainly do that. Happy Derby, and next year we'll bring you on down.
All right. 2:03, everyone. Give us 2 minutes. We'll be back. welcome back, everyone. 2:06, everyone. We are in our second hour for Chicago Live on this Friday, and still so much to talk about as we get ready for a busy weekend after a jam-packed week. Let's just hop into our next discussion here. We've got a lot that's coming up in this hour. Still waiting on the mayor to speak out at the Mayday event, and again, we will take you there live just as soon as it happens. But this weekend, we're also preparing for the Mexico Fest at Navy Pier, and we have Miguel Alfaro, who is the senior program manager at Navy Pier, joining us to talk about this. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Oh, of course. Thank you for the invitation.
Tell me about the excitement that's building right now.
Yeah, we're like an hour out right now from the inaugural ceremony for our, fourth annual Global Connections Mexico Fest. This is sponsored by ComEd and the Su Ling Jin Foundation. And we will be down by the Ferrara Candy Wave Wall stage with some live DJs, some mariachi, some baile folklorico to kick off the weekend's festivities. And this will be going on till 7 p.m. tonight. And if you miss it today, don't worry, because Saturday and Sunday, we're out there from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. And we will be also having artisan markets inside the pier. So if outside is not your thing, or if you want to take a dip inside, you'll be able to shop with different products from Mexico, the state of Mexico, Baja California, Guerrero, and it's just going to be a lot of activity. We already see the vendors out there doing their thing. And on Saturday and Sunday, it's worth noting, we have free workshops for the entire family from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. So definitely come on by.
You had me at Ballet Folklorico. I love those folks. They've been on the show, Good Day Chicago, many, many times. They are awesome. I've even gone out over to the Daily Plaza to watch them out there performing as well. Tell me a little bit about, you said this is the inaugural. Why now?
Yeah, so this is the inaugural ceremony to kick off the weekend, but it's actually the fourth year that we've partnered up with the Consulate General of Mexico in Chicago. And it's just really important to show off the People's Pier, show off what makes the city of Chicago so special and unique. And that includes the cross-culture pollination that we have with our friends over south of the border.
Awesome. Now, tell me how you all continue to make it like bigger. How do you say like, this was great last year, but we can top that this year?
Yeah, no, there's always new states every year that we try to switch it up and invite more artisan vendors. We try to invite more dance groups, more musical artists, just to really put the culture on and give people a platform to showcase the beautiful art. And it's really important that it's a free event because, it's really important to be accessible to all our guests throughout the weekend. So yeah, just trying to amp it up, more activity, more workshops. You're going to be able to create your own Ferris wheel this weekend for free and take it home with you.
Oh.
You're going to be able to learn about Mexican fashion and Western wear with Alcala's Western Wear, who's one of the oldest Western shops in Chicago. So we're really excited to have them this year. So it's partnerships like that make this event really special.
Super cool. And why is it the first weekend in May?
Yeah, so there will be a lot of Cinco de Mayo celebrations this weekend to celebrate the Battle of Puebla, which is an important historical Mexican event that happened. However, this weekend is not really so much about Cinco de Mayo. There's going to be lots of that all around the city. I think for us, it's really important to show what authentic Mexican experiences look like, authentic Mexican art, and authentic Mexican food. So definitely come on by and check out all the flavors that we will have to offer.
Sounds amazing. Why is it important to showcase those things?
Yeah, I mean, we're such a diverse city, and Navy Pier really prides itself in being the people's pier. And so we have to, show the variety of, flavors and cultures and beauty that make this city shine. And so, yeah, this is just one of the many free public programs we do all year long, where we work with a variety of cultures, musical genres, public art disciplines to really show off what makes the city so special. And in doing so, this being the Global Connection series, we're really trying to connect Chicago as a place for the world to come visit and stop on by and get a taste of the whole world.
Yeah, and obviously Navy Pier is a perfect place to do that. What are you looking forward to the most this weekend?
Yeah, so we have a very special Sunday lineup with an all-female norteño group called Grupo Rimel. We have a vocalist named Rosalba Valdez joining us that day. We're going to have a lot of girl power on Sunday. So I'm really looking forward to that. But really, the whole weekend entertainment schedule can be found on navypier.org if anyone's interested on the live acts. That's really one of my favorite elements. But yeah, definitely check out the lineup and find something that you like. Ballet Folklorico de Chicago tonight is going to be incredible. So like you said, we're really looking forward to that as well.
It sounds awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And there's so much to do this weekend. And maybe emphasize the fact that, there's a lot that happens throughout the weekend, maybe for like a 21 and up crowd. Navy Pier always seems to find a perfect balance where the whole family can get something.
I appreciate you noticing that. Yeah, we try really hard to create something for all ages. The music is outside and free, so anyone walking by the Ferris wheel can stumble upon it. The workshops are all ages. We do try to have some things for the children, some things for, the older demographic, which would be like the Alcala's Western workshop that we're doing. But like the Ferris wheel thing, even adults and children would have a fun making their own Ferris wheel and taking it home with them. So we always hope there's something for everyone when they come across our free public programs.
I think it's going to be wonderful. Thinking through the weather this weekend, at least you won't have rain. People can put on, a jacket and still vibe out.
Yep, 100%. Definitely recommend a little layering for this weekend. Sunday's looking a little all right, but we'll knock on wood there. Don't want to jinx ourselves. But we always have an indoor plan. If the weather is really, really tough, we'll move it inside. And you can see more information on that on our social media if we do make that switch. But for now, we're all speed ahead outside at the Ferrara Candy Wave Wall stage. So we'll hope to see you all there.
Wonderful. I think people will flock to it. It's free, everyone, and a 3-day celebration. So plenty of time to get out there to Navy Pier and enjoy Mexico Fest. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Miguel, have a wonderful weekend. Might have to get out there and check it out myself. It's 2:13. Give us 2 minutes. All right, 2:15 right now, and we just can't help but to really talk a lot about what's going on in Kentucky this weekend, but from different perspectives, right? So we took you already to Churchill Downs and spoke with someone who's involved in all of the planning, but we actually have a local horse owner who is headed in that direction right now. It's going to be taking part in one of the many things that's happening this weekend. Chris Block is the president of Illinois Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association. Thank you so much, sir.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So tell me, one, where you are. We see you are literally en route. So tell us where you are and what you're looking forward to this weekend.
Well, I'm actually halfway between Chicago and Louisville, Kentucky. I have a couple horses running tomorrow in what they call the undercard, which are the races that lead up to the Kentucky Derby. I have two horses running, one in a turf race and one in a dirt race, and they are races 5 and 6 tomorrow on what they have which is called a 14 race card. So there's 14 races. The Derby is the 12th race on the card, and we are in races 5 and 6.
Talk about the different training for turf versus dirt. Like, what's the what? I would assume that the training has to be a little different.
Well, it's mostly not so much the training as it is the pedigree of the animals, the horses. There's pedigree for horses who handle turf and pedigree for horses who handle dirt, and some of them can handle both. Some are bred predominantly for turf, both from the female and the male side. But there's also those that are bred for strictly dirt. A lot of the horses you'll see in the Kentucky Derby tomorrow have pedigree for both, but they're predominantly turf or dirt horses that were either bred and raised by their owners or bought at public auction with the mindset that hopefully that they would end up in the Kentucky Derby or a race like the Kentucky Derby at some point.
What kind of training goes into it? I mean, what are the hours like? What is the preparation like?
Well, it's 7 days a week. Each horse is an individual that has its own personalities. So it's up to the trainer and his staff to understand the traits of the horse, what they like and dislike, so that they can go out and perform at their highest level. It is a very tedious business career, and it requires a lot of time, a lot of patience. Horses end up with a lot of ailments as they get prepared for races because they're athletes, like human athletes. They end up with injuries or things that do set them back on their course to getting ready to run, whether it's their first race or whether it's the first Saturday in May in the Kentucky Derby. So requires a lot of patience, a lot of time, and understanding the animal and what they like and dislike so they can go out and perform at their highest level in a race.
And for the races that you and your horses are getting ready for, is it like a lead up in terms of like seeing if they can handle that, to continue training them to try to get them to the big race? Or is it like, no, this is our lane, this is what we're gearing up for and what our goal is?
Well, when you first start the horse out in his career, you're really not sure where the future is going to hold. A lot of these horses develop and get better with each and every race. And then the trainer gets an idea what surface they like the best, what distance they like the best, what kind of tactics in the race they like the best. And then that all propels you into where your race by race takes you down that avenue to be able to understand all what I just mentioned in order to get the best out of them in what will probably be their mold in life. And whether it's turf, dirt, distance of ground, short racing, long racing, all depends. The Kentucky Derby is a grueling distance of 1.25 miles. So it takes a special kind of horse with a special kind of pedigree, and everything has to fall into line. But there's a lot of practice, if you will, and that goes into training and racing to get an idea whether you belong in the Derby and whether or not your horse is going to be able to handle the rigors of getting ready for the Derby. So there's a lot that goes into it, and you find out from race to race where your horse is going to be into the future as you move forward.
Yeah. And are the horses like on a trailer right now?
No, actually, my horses are at Churchill Downs, and I have a set of horses in Kentucky and a set of horses here in Chicago. So my horses have been at Churchill Downs now for about a month, and have been preparing for these 2 races tomorrow.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, I think it's fascinating. Like I'm from the country where where like my dad has horses, but they're not horses that are trained to race. They're just horses that are like your dogs. You know,
Right,
they're just
pleasure horses.
they're they're your family pets, you know. So I can never see them doing these types of things. So it really is fascinating talking to a trainer that actually, you know, that takes them to this level.
Yeah, so the pleasure horse is a different breed. The breed that we have that races in these kind of races is the thoroughbred, and they're bred for racing. So they also can do, after the racing career, a second career, such as a pleasure horse or the backyard horse for a family. All depends on the personality of the horse. But these race horses are bred strictly to race, and they all have the competitive edge, if you will, and they know exactly what they're doing once they've been through the training process of going out there and competing at a high level. There's a lot of them that don't turn out to be at high level, and they have to find a level in which to compete. But it's hopeful after their career of racing that they can go on and be what you've seen in your life, and that's a pleasure horse for somebody for a second career.
Yeah, my dad calls it therapy, just to go out and be with them each day. So what is the rush like? For those of us who may never have that moment, what is the rush like to see a horse that you've spent so much time with come across that finish line, or even as the race is proceeding?
So first of all, there's a lot of reward in preparing a horse. So as I've mentioned, it takes a long time to get a horse ready to run its first start. So there's a lot of reward in that whenever you actually get the horse to the starting gate in the afternoon to compete. And then to win a race is a feeling that is really hard to describe, because it feels like that's your child out there competing, if you will, and there's a lot of pride in that. So it's exhilarating. Tomorrow in the Kentucky Derby will be on a whole together different level. I've never run a horse in the Derby. It'd be nice to do that sometime, but I've been at the Kentucky Derby numerous times, and there is a complete aura over that racetrack in the city of Louisville tomorrow that's very hard to describe. There's a buzz, an aura, and a feeling of just high anxiety, and a lot of people having a great time, but also a lot of intensity for those people who are competing in the races leading up to the Derby on tomorrow, and also the Derby itself.
Well, Chris, wonderful speaking with you, and best of luck this weekend.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Take care. Again,
thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Chris Block, the president of the Illinois Thoroughbred Horsemen's Association. Super cool stuff. Very interested in all that they do. It is 2:24, and I do believe that Mayor Johnson is speaking out at the Mayday rally that's happening. Did he just finish? Okay, all right. Unfortunately, we just missed the mayor speaking there at the Mayday rally happening in Union Park. It wasn't too long that he was there at the mic, so I do think that he's kind of ping-ponging through different events that are happening throughout the city today, as is typical. But that Mayday rally, again, started at about 1 o'clock, and we were anticipating him maybe speaking around 1:30. That didn't happen, but unfortunately, we just missed him there in the process of our last conversation. It's about 2:25 though. Let's take a 2-minute break. Let's see where we're going from here. Welcome back, everyone. 2:27 right now. Actually, want to take you to Washington, D.C. While we have a moment right here to the developing situation that's happening out there. So Metropolitan Police and emergency responders have been called to the Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge in D.C. After reports of a person on top of this 168-foot tall structure with a banner out there. The MPD posted online saying that they're on the scene of this barricade situation involving a subject who walked on top of the Memorial Bridge. Their negotiators are on the scene as well. They're asking people to avoid that area as they try to resolve the incident, hopefully peacefully. But it was first reported, the incident, someone noted like a large police presence and a scene there, and then saw this person who was on top of the bridge. And again, this is 168 feet up in the air. There are some of the journalists that are on the scene say, okay, it's a Mayday protester who climbed that black banner there, is a part of a demonstration against the Iran war. So Homeland Security and Emergency Management officials have said at this time, DC Fire and EMS, again, say this is an active scene at the Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge where apparently a protester has gotten on top of the bridge, almost 170 feet in the air, with this one-man demonstration against the Iran war as a part of Mayday protests. There are Mayday protests that are happening throughout the country today. This is actually a view here to Chicago as the crowds have been building, staying peaceful, but building. Moments ago, the mayor addressed a crowd in Union Park. I do believe that they are walking from there to Grant Park. Daley Plaza, excuse me, from Union Park to Daley Plaza. Not sure if there's going to be another ceremony that's happening there. But we have been looking at the crowds build since the 1 o'clock hour and now start to coalesce here outside of Union Park, where there was just a ceremony there with not just the mayor, but we also saw the CTU and Illinois Federation of Teachers president, Stacey Davis Gates. There were several aldermen who were there as well. You can see here the crowd beginning to move. Again, they are going to be marching from Union Park over to Daley Plaza. Several of these butterflies, in fact, one of the dignitaries at the mic had on, I noted that in my mind as she was speaking, she had on a scarf that had those same butterflies that we just took a close-up picture of. But several people that are gathered here, and again, a part of this walk. Lots of CPD out there as well that will be guiding them, because this was a registered march. So they'll be guided over to Daley Plaza as they start to kind of make their way over there right now. We've also given you live pictures to LA as well at one point in time as their crowds were building there. There are, again, protests happening all throughout the country, especially in major cities. Thousands of people in the U.S. Joining. No school in many areas. Obviously, that was a big deal here, a big controversy here as the school district and the CTU were going kind of back and forth. The CTU wanted no school. The new CPS CEO, Macklin King, Dr. Macklin King, said there would be school. She wanted there to be school. They kind of met in the middle and said that, okay, there will be school, but there will also be the ability for teachers and students who wanted to be a part of these rallies and protests today to take CPS buses over to the rallies as a part of this Mayday Strong events that are happening across the country today. Many calling for no school, no work, no shopping, economic blackout day as a protest on behalf of labor workers here. It is an annual tradition as a part of the labor movement. It has particular importance here in the city of Chicago. And we have seen, again, several things that have been happening today here in our area that have stayed peaceful throughout the day. Obviously, in Washington, D.C., they have a very different type of situation going on that we're continuing to monitor there as well, with a man at the top of a 168-foot bridge that the police and fire department are actively trying to get off of that bridge. There is a one-man protest for Mayday with that black banner that he has unfurled once he got to the top of the bridge there. So a dangerous situation that is unfolding there. They have mediators, involved who are trying to get the man off of the bridge. But in other areas, thus far, not hearing of too many things that have gone too wrong today. I do believe there were 6 protesters who were arrested for blocking a bridge in Minneapolis. In Portland, there was a situation that they had there earlier that seems to be resolved, but by and large, and especially here at home in the city of Chicago, things have been pretty smooth thus far. So we're going to continue to monitor all the different activities that are going on today, the protests that are happening throughout our area. Is our next guest on the line? Okay, our next guest is here, and if you'll recall in the things that we're looking at, you see a lot of people in jackets, okay? It is the first day of May, yes, people are out, yes, but it is cold outside, and in fact, we even have some notices of frost and freeze possibly happening over the weekend. So let's say you maybe, you have a green thumb, or you were planning on having a green thumb this year. Well, that might cause some issues for your garden outside. We have Megan Gilbert from Chalet Nursery who is with us. It's green behind you, but you're inside.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm Megan. I am a sales solution expert here at Chalet Home and Garden. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We appreciate you being here on the show. I've heard many people say for the city of Chicago, wait until after Mother's Day. But let's say somebody didn't get that message. They started early on their garden and they were ambitious. Is this weekend going to ruin what they have going outside?
Yes, for sure. So yeah, we had some wonderful warm days this last few weeks, excuse me. But no, just don't worry. We can help you protect your plants from the frost that's coming. There's many different ways that you can protect your plants from the frost. You can use actual bed sheets, old bed sheets if you have them lying around your house. You could use burlap, even for smaller plants that you may have. You could use cardboard boxes and cover them up with those as well.
Very interesting. Yeah, so we have this frost advisory in place for portions of Cook, Lake, McHenry, Kane, Kendall, DeKalb, Will, Kankakee, Lake in Indiana, Porter, Jasper, Newton counties tonight, and this freeze warning for LaPorte. Is that surprising to you?
Not surprising at all, no. Chicago, the spring weather will go up and down. We never know what we're going to get. You just have to be, on the lookout of that weather. but the timing is everything. So you want to cover those in the late afternoon to trap that soil in the heat, and then remove those covers in the morning once those temperatures rise above freezing.
Are perennials okay?
Perennials will be okay. You just want to cover those as much as you possibly can. If you are using a plastic, you'll want to not make sure that the plastic itself is not touching those foliage, because you could damage the foliage from that plastic.
So how many phone calls do you all get around this time of year? Like, I don't know what I'm doing, or I've ruined everything.
Quite a bit, but again, don't worry. We have all of the hands on deck to help you protect your plants from that frost. Yes.
What are typically the first things when someone calls and they are in a state of like, oh my gosh, what is happening? What are some of the first things that you tell them to do?
So most of the questions we have a lot for, like, especially containers, protecting those containers as well. If you can move those into a garage, a shed, anywhere indoors to protect those container plants, that would be best. Or cluster them together. They like warmth, and they can keep each other warm, or close to the house to keep them warm as well.
What about the tulips that just got planted downtown? I mean, they're beautiful, and I'm like, are they gonna be dead by Monday?
No. You can also use, again, sheets, or you can use cardboard boxes, blankets, any frost cloth that will cover those things, any material that will reach the ground and keep those insulated and warm.
But like the tulips that the city just planted, like, I mean, I highly doubt they're going to send anybody out to go protect them.
Yes.
So, like
hopefully they'd be okay as well. Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I was just
and
looking.
Mulching.
Yeah, I was looking
at as well. Keeping mulching.
Yeah, I was starting to smell all of those smells even just this morning. But then you think about the weather starting to change, and you're like, are they doing this too early? But I guess the city has to start when it has to start.
Yes, people get excited once that warm hits. They get really excited to plant those plants and get that prettiness in their yard or around the city as well.
Tell us what you have around you.
We have a lot of tulips, a lot of hydrangeas, rhododendron, azaleas, all those spring hardy plants that are going to bloom very, very, like right now. Yeah.
No. Right around you, like right where you're sitting.
I'm so sorry. We have a snake plant here. We have, what else do we have? All right. We have, I'm not sure. These are Chinese. We have Chinese. We have a snake plant, and you have other things here too.
Super cool. And what is your favorite time that you feel like, you know, the flowers kind of, I said, all right, wait till after Mother's Day. That's what I've always heard. But when do you think is the best time for people to get out and really have success?
Mother's Day is a good starting point. Also, the 15th is usually the last day of frost. No more frost after the 15th. The Mother's Day is a good indicating too.
Now, is it possible that the frost could actually be a bit helpful when it comes to weeds?
It can. It can help those weeds dull back so they won't grow. But yeah, we offer also here at Chalet, we also have weed prevention and those sorts of things as well.
All right, just on a final note here, tell us about some of the other things that you all offer there at Chalet. If someone is unfamiliar with you all, what all can they get to help them out during the spring to summertime?
We have a wonderful signature team that will make beautiful containers. You could come in and specialize your personal container, or they have pre-mades as well that are set up that are just beautiful as well. And right now they're all mostly spring hardy, but as the season progresses, they'll start doing summer plants as well. But I love our signature team.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
All right, take care.
You too. Thank you.
Give us 2 minutes, everyone. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. It's just about 2:45 right now, and we've had many conversations about quantum in the city of Chicago and what that will bring to our area. We've heard the positives, the negatives, the people who are for it, the people who are still questioning it, but more investment is going into it right now. And we just learned today that Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy is joining with some of the leaders, education leaders in our area, highlighting a $765,000 investment, federal funding that's secured to modernize a science lab infrastructure there. Let's go ahead and bring Congressman Krishnamurthy into the chat. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on even the development of having quantum labs here in Chicago.
Well, it turns out that Chicago and Illinois is a hub for the quantum industry, not only in this country, but really around the world. And we have a quantum park in downtown Chicago, but it's really supported by a huge ecosystem that's developed in this quantum science space, including at our leading research universities, our national labs, as well as in private businesses. And so what I tried to do is secure, and successfully did so, $765,000 for workforce training initiatives through Harper College, a community college in the Chicago area, to provide the workforce that's going to allow our quantum industry and ecosystem to take a leap and reach the next level of success, so that we continue to prosper in this area.
What is that leap like? What does it add to society or to the city or state?
Well, and it enables more young people to get in the game, so to speak, to be able to take the jobs of the future that are going to exist in the quantum space. And these aren't all jobs necessarily that require bachelor's level or master's or postgraduate degrees, but they do require skills. And for the last 10 years, I've devoted a lot of time and attention to skills-based education, career technical education, because although not everyone necessarily needs to get a 4-year college degree, they do need a world-class post-secondary education to participate in the 21st century economy. And one of those sectors that's going to require this type of skills-based education is the quantum sector. So Harper College is going to upgrade its facilities, going to hire instructors who can get people involved, and generally kind of allow more young people and others to participate in this fast-growing industry.
And when the quantum campus was announced, I remember when Governor Pritzker was out there doing the big announcement for the quantum campus. There were a lot of questions about the location and people in the immediate area. There were some who were a little critical of it from the standpoint of the fact that it had been a disinvested area for so long. Do you see this as a part of that solution, a part of meeting those needs from people who needed to see investment?
Absolutely. I think that we need to get the local community involved, prospering, benefiting from what's to come in the quantum sector. Just to give you a sense, what I was told this morning at our roundtable discussion on this particular topic is there could be upwards of 200,000 jobs created in just this industry alone in this region. And so we need to make sure that everybody has a chance, regardless of who you are, the color of your skin, whatever zip code you live in, that you have a shot. And so if we can successfully invest in this workforce training through Harper College, I can see how this model can basically be emulated or mimicked or copied and pasted in other areas. Everybody then has a chance to get involved. We just need to get everyone on the quantum train, so to speak, so that everyone has a shot.
Mm-hmm. I actually saw in a trade journal this morning that IBM is supposed to be adding 750 jobs at the Chicago quantum computing campus. It really is very interesting to see and to watch it all come to fruition.
Yeah, I think that kind of the golden chalice, if you will, the milestone that everybody's waiting for is a quantum computer actually getting built at scale in that quantum park. And so IBM, as well as Psi Quantum and other companies, are going great guns to try to get that to happen. And if we can make that happen in Chicago, that will be a world-leading development. And we just need everyone in the community to benefit, right? We don't want, just one group of people. We don't want just a bunch of tech bros, or we don't want like 3 or 4 companies like you have in AI kind of owning or monopolizing the benefits. We need to democratize quantum. And so this is what I'm trying to do here with investing in workforce development, workforce training in quantum. Because if we can kind of crack the code, so to speak, in developing workforce training models that work for all communities, then watch out. I think Chicago and Illinois are going to kill it in the quantum space.
Now, how do you address, environmental concerns for that space?
Well, look, we have to do it better than we did in the AI space, right? I mean, the AI space, I think that what happened was that, essentially growth happened so quickly, especially with data centers and so forth, that I think that communities weren't ready for what was to come in terms of energy consumption and water consumption. So now we need to think forward with regard to the quantum space. What are the energy requirements? What are the water requirements? What's the impact going to be on the community, such that, for instance, people aren't paying higher utility costs because of quantum growth? My hope is that we've learned something from AI and we can apply it here and think forward. My hope also is that companies and the government are going to, cultivate this growth in a way that is friendly to the communities around them, not somehow adverse to their interests.
Now, why Harper College? What was it that they had going or that they had interest in that made this the right partnership for you?
Well, for one, they're one of the top community colleges in the country. They're in my congressional district. Avis Proctor, she has done just Dr. Avis Proctor. She's been kind of a visionary in terms of trying to develop workforce training models in different technologies of the future. And so when she came to me or to our office along with her team and said, "Hey, we think that we can successfully partner with the Chicago Quantum Exchange as well as others in the ecosystem to develop a kind of leading model for workforce training," we said, let's apply for it. Let's apply for money for this. And so we successfully obtained it. But I'd like to hopefully take this model on the road, so to speak, get city colleges of Chicago involved. I work heavily with them as well, in addition to others.
Well, thank you so much for telling us more about what's going on. I'm sure because you are, working hands-on in this and seeing the investment, being a part of the investment, you're also hearing more. I mean, where are we in terms of really seeing this open up?
It's opening up before our very eyes right now. I just saw an estimate this morning again that this industry could be worth $100 billion with a B by 2035. So that's, less than, 9 years away. And for Chicago and Illinois to really get more than our fair share, we have to make sure that we accelerate our workforce development initiatives. I'd also like to say we need to accelerate exposure to quantum science and quantum kind of curricula, even at the lower levels of schooling, all the way down to elementary school. Some educators this morning were telling me that we need people to feel very kind of quantum comfortable because it is going to be such a huge space and a sector in our economy. We need our children, wherever they live, whatever their zip code, to feel very comfortable and to want to pursue careers in this space long term.
Yeah, and I think the proximity of that to many children will be a game changer for them. And I know, like I said, we spoke to those who were pro the quantum campus and who were against. I remember there was a principal who spoke with us who was pro, and she was hoping that this would open up those opportunities for more of the students to, see firsthand from an early age, to your point, what was building there, what was growing, and to be a part of it so that it's not foreign to them by the time they've matriculated.
That's exactly right. Coming out of this meeting today, I'm going to encourage people to, basically have their students maybe visit these companies, visit the campus, visit our labs in the area, even as early as elementary school, second, third, fourth grade, just to kind of get comfortable and not feel in any way alienated or feel like this is not for me. We need to demystify this. We need to kind of take away any of the preconceived notions about who belongs in this space. I think everyone belongs. Everyone should participate. Everyone should have a shot at participating. And again, I am so excited. I think that this is going to be the way forward for our state to take a world-leading position and to basically have all of these neighborhoods, all these communities to benefit. It'll be just incredible. I can't wait to see what happens here.
Well, we certainly hope that it's incredible in the future. Obviously, when you say incredible in the future, it's really not for us. It is for that next generation. Congressman Krishnamurthy, thank you so much for your time.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
All right. Have a wonderful weekend, sir.
You too.
It's about 2:57, everyone. Give us 2 minutes. We're going to be back. I'll set you up for where we're going in our 3 o'clock hour. But I'll go ahead and tell you, if you were thinking about walking off, You would miss the one and only Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb. He's coming up very soon, and we know so many of you love to hear what he has to say. All right, welcome back, everyone. 3:01. We're in our final hour of Chicago Live for the week. Happy Friday. We still have plenty of great conversations to come here. Before we get you over to the 4 o'clock news, we're going to talk about a new antique store that's coming to Andersonville so that you can get all the inside scoop before you even have to leave out of your home. We'll talk about this weather outside. It's May 1st. Feeling a little like, I don't know, October, November 1st. I don't know. It's a little chilly outside today, and we actually have frost advisories. I mean, hello, Chicago. We this time of year we can get a little of everything. So we'll talk with JD Rudd, who will be up around 3:30 to give us an update on where we're going in terms of the weather. We have the Kane County State's Attorney, Jamie Mosser, who's going to be back with us today. She has been the topic of some pretty big news this week as she released information from an investigation that she was working on into the ramped up immigration and customs enforcement efforts that were happening in our area back in the fall. We saw them on our air. We covered them extensively. You'll find many of the stories online, but she actually came out and said that she cannot actually charge a federal agent who used, she says she found the person did use force against protesters, but she cannot charge that federal agent. So we're going to be breaking down the results of her investigation and also that federal law that she says is standing in the way there. That will be around 3:20. We may be able to get in one of our 4 o'clock anchors to talk about what is to come in the 4 o'clock news. If not, at some point in time, I'll kind of give you a few of the headlines there. But we start off with the one and only, much beloved. I always introduce him that way because he really is. Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb, who is joining us as we get some new reporting on the hunt for extraterrestrial life entering a new frontier. Hi, how are you? Happy Friday.
Thanks for having me.
What do you think about that headline, entering a new frontier for the hunt for extraterrestrial life?
Yeah, so it has various aspects to it. Of course, we're all aware that President Trump announced the disclosure of some videos and perhaps some other information. We haven't seen those videos yet. I'm sure that there are people debating which videos to release within government, within the intelligence agencies, at the Pentagon. I have corresponded with John Kozlowski, the director of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office in the Pentagon, that is looking through some of these videos. I haven't seen any of them. And the question is whether we will see the most intriguing videos. Of course, there are videos, let's say, from satellites that will never be released because they were taken by classified sensors, and we don't want adversarial nations to be aware of the capabilities of our intelligence agencies. So the interplay here is between concerns about national security and the curiosity of the public that wants to see those things. And members of Congress, including Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, that is leading the task force on the disclosure of unidentified anomalous phenomena, said that they were brought into a skiff where they could see some of those videos, and they're quite intriguing. And President Trump also commented on some of them being interesting. So I'm just waiting. And of course, I would love to help government figure out what these videos mean, because it's clear that whatever will be released was not interpreted by either the intelligence agencies or the Pentagon as an identified object that is definitely human-made. These are very mysterious objects, and I would like to see how mysterious they are. So this is one frontier, and Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna visited my office a couple of weeks ago for 90 minutes, and we presented to her the latest results from the Galileo project that I'm leading. And there we are doing scientific research. We built 3 observatories. We are collecting data on millions of objects in the sky. And we are using the method of triangulation to figure out the distance of an object, the velocity and the acceleration. So once we know those components, we can tell whether, given the altitude, the velocity and the acceleration of an object, whether it behaves outside the performance envelope of human-made technologies, of airplanes, satellites, balloons, drones, helicopters, and so forth. And we use machine learning to help us in the process. So we haven't yet found a definitive UAP, something that doesn't appear to be explained, but we're in the process of doing that. And I told my research team to alert me, even in the middle of the night, if they find something. And on another front, as you may remember, I went to an expedition to the Pacific Ocean in June 2023, about 3 years ago, and we are now getting close to finishing the analysis of the materials that we brought back. And I can say, but I cannot go into details, that we now have much clearer evidence that we may have found materials from outside the solar system. And the evidence is not just based on chemical composition, but also on analysis of isotopes. But more details will come forth as soon as our process of analysis is completed and reviewed by the journal where we would submit it to. Finally, in addition to all of these, there are interstellar objects that we are waiting for, and the next one will hopefully come from the Rubin Observatory, and we may call it 4I Rubin. That will be the next one. And I recently wrote an essay with a request to the NASA administrator, Jared Isaacman, encouraging NASA to plan on an intercept mission, just like the DART mission collided with an asteroid, actually a moonlet of an asteroid. We could send a probe that will collide with 4I Rubin. If it comes close to Earth, if it looks similar to 3I Atlas, the very mysterious interstellar object that came over the past year close to Earth. And if we crash into 4I Rubin, we could get a close-up photograph. Of course, the crash itself will tell us what it's made of, because a crash on a rock or an iceberg is very different from a crash on the solid surface of a spacecraft. We would be immediately able to tell what we are dealing with, whether it's natural or artificial. And also, if it's natural, we could learn more about the composition and maybe find evidence. I mean, for 3I Atlas, we found the organic molecules in the plume of gas around it. Maybe it indicates that there was life there. But if we dive and collide with the object, we might actually be able to tell if there is life on it by using various instruments that will be on board of such a spacecraft. So, last time when we had 3I Atlas, we had a crash on this interstellar visitor. Now we can have a real crash. It's spelled a little differently. Instead of CRUSH, it's CRASH. So we can actually crash onto it and learn much more about it. In addition, I realized this week that we are always talking about the microbial life on the surface of Mars, and NASA sent robots that would look for any signatures of those. But in fact, here on Earth, we find evidence that there was plenty of microbes, algae, bacteria in the first billion or 2 billion years after the Earth formed in the ocean, the ancient oceans that were around the Earth. And the reason we know that is because we found oil from 3.2 billion years ago. And oil is produced by residue of dead algae, bacteria that collected and sedimented at the bottom of the ocean, and later on was acted upon by extreme temperatures and pressures, and eventually ended up as oil or gas. And 3.2 billion years ago, Mars, our sister planet, had very similar conditions to Earth. We know that from surveying the land on Mars. We know that it had lakes, rivers, oceans of water. And so very likely it had life similarly to that on Earth, algae and bacteria that very likely was exposed to the same conditions and ended up making oil underground. And so it would be really interesting to drill on Mars and look for oil there, because that would tell us about the early life on Mars that may have been preserved underground. On the surface, it was exposed to numerous asteroids that impacted the surface and basically erased all memory of what used to be there. But underground, this oil may still be there, just like it is on Earth. And maybe life actually started on Mars earlier than on Earth, because Mars is a smaller body and has, and usually, the heat of formation of a planet is proportional to the volume of the object, whereas the heat escapes from the planet over the surface. And so Mars had a surface to volume ratio that is almost twice that of Earth. So it lost its formation heat much earlier and was conducive to life before the Earth. And then during that time, the first hundreds of millions of years after both Mars and Earth formed, there were lots of rocks that were exchanged between the two planets. They sort of had a French kiss. And in this French kiss, where a lot of rocks were exchanged between the two planets, microbes could have traveled in between them. And it's quite possible that if Mars had life before Earth, that in fact it infected Earth with life. And so in that case, we would find that the oil, if we drill on Mars, will be associated with primitive forms of life that were identical to those on Earth. And if we find that, we would know that we came from the same ancestry. So if life came to Earth, for example, from Mars on rocks, then these microbes were the first astronauts in the solar system billions of years before human astronauts ever boarded a spacecraft. And that means that when Elon Musk is dreaming about going to Mars, sending humans to Mars, that will be just like adults dreaming about going back to their childhood home.
You always give us so much to think about. What was Representative Anna Paulina Luna's reaction to your presentation?
Oh, she was very interested. We agree. We look eye to eye at the process of trying to get information released from the government, and so she's fascinated by the scientific work. And there is one aspect to the work that she's doing, which is quite visionary, and she's promoting the release of federal secrets, so to speak. One is, of course, to get the data to scientists like myself so that we can analyze it and figure out what it means. But the second is, of course, to figure out what it means. That would be the fun part. And there is always the possibility that we are looking at technologies of other nations, that we are looking at natural phenomena that we haven't realized exist, or that we're looking at some optical illusion, some malfunction of the cameras that are being used. And all of these possibilities have to be analyzed. And obviously, both the intelligence agencies and people in the Pentagon, they are occupied with other concerns. They really are focused on national security. So for them, it's extra work to do the science of objects that they cannot figure out. That's why they were keeping it under wraps. They couldn't figure it out, and they said, let's ignore it, let's focus on other things. But for me as a scientist, the opportunity for us to learn something new in science is always based on anomalies, on outliers, on things that we can't really understand based on what we already know. And that's nature's way of telling us that we're missing something. So as a scientist, even if 1 in 100 objects appears to be anomalous, I don't care about the 99 objects that we can understand. Of course, it's a mixed bag. Most of them we can explain. But even if 1 out of 1,000,000 happens to be of technological origin and it's not produced by humans, that would be the biggest discovery ever made in science. So a scientist, the work of science is complementary to the work of national intelligence, in the sense that I find any human-made object to be boring. I don't really care about it. Whereas people in the Pentagon are focused on human-made objects, technological objects. And the second is that I really care about extremely rare events that cannot be explained. Whereas if you're a government employee, you might say, I have to focus on the majority of those events, because if I waste my time on one out of a million events, then I will not have time for the most important ones for national security.
And when you talk about, the analyzing that you do or that you still need to do for some of the things that you have found in your travel and in your study, what are your thoughts on like this ELT telescope that's coming into construction in Chile, or AI being used by scientists or astronomers to try to, further finding another Earth-like planet or being?
Right. So, just like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, I would argue that good data is worth 1,000 LLMs, large language models. So people talk a lot about the capability of artificial intelligence, machine learning, to improve our ability to deal with large data sets or to infer patterns that the human brain cannot infer. I would say that much more than AI, we need better data. And that means the development of new sensors, new instruments can actually alert us to what the physical reality is, and much more so than AI. A high level of intelligence with very poor information doesn't lead anywhere. And so you mentioned the extremely large telescope. There are also American projects like the Giant Magellan Telescope and the 30-meter telescope. Of course, as we build bigger telescopes, we are able to identify fainter sources of light, also monitor them better. The Rubin Observatory in Chile, that was constructed and funded by the National Science Foundation, by the Department of Energy, is now about to discover dozens of interstellar objects over the next decade. And so that would be extremely telling about what kind of visitors we have. Once we start to have a large sample of them, we can tell how unusual they are. When you go on a blind date, the first date, obviously you think that your partner might be extremely unusual, exceptional, but once you start dating a lot of people, you realize how unusual one person is relative to the rest. And so the same is true with interstellar visitors, and the Rubin Observatory will open our eyes. There is also, but it's limited to the southern sky. There is also a telescope being planned for the northern sky called the Argus Array, funded by the Schmidt Foundation, that will operate in the future and will tell us what happens in the northern sky. So all of this is really important, because these are our eyes on the sky. We can find objects that we haven't found before. So technology is extremely important. I would put that as at the top of the priority list, because the better sensors we have, the more we know, the more data we get. Then, of course, if the data, of course, from the Rubin Observatory, there is a huge stream of data that comes along. The human brain cannot really process it. For that, we need AI. So the second priority is, of course, having the best AI agents and systems that can analyze the data. And the role of scientists, as I see it in the coming years, would not be so much to dive into the data and analyze it, but to guide the AI system as to how to process that data. And we are already seeing that AI helps science a lot. And, that is why I salute President Trump for enhancing science and technology on three frontiers. One is the rejuvenation of space exploration with the success of the Artemis 2, and we are heading towards Artemis 3 and 4 and so forth, bringing people to the moon. The second is, of course, the artificial intelligence revolution that is currently taking place. And I think the world will be very different next year compared to what it is right now. We already know about systems that are quite dangerous. The Anthropic is not releasing Mythos because they claim it's too risky for them to release it. It's too intelligent. And then the third domain is, of course, alien intelligence, if we find evidence for it. So it will come from sensors. My fundamental question is whether the government already has some data and whether that data would be released so we can figure out if we are being visited. So that's the next frontier. And I think it would be the most consequential if there is something in the data. Again, President Trump is allowing the declassification of that data. So I think life is interesting at this time, and I'm very happy to be alive at this time. And one thing I should really emphasize is there was a lot of talk about missing scientists in recent weeks. And I was interviewed a lot about it, including by TMZ and other channels. And my point was, I'm not too worried about missing scientists. I don't see any connection between the different cases that were put forward. Maybe one or two of them has to be looked into by the FBI to make sure that there is no adversarial nation involved. But what we should be focused on is the missing science in the national conversation. The fact that science is not getting the attention that it needs in order to bring us to a better future. Because the way I see science is like it's the roots of the tree of technology. So if we just water the branches of the tree by investing a lot in AI and other technologies, while we're cutting the roots, if we don't pay attention to the roots, then the tree will die. We will not have future technologies if we are not investing in science right now. So we should obviously appreciate science as much as technology, and both of them will keep the U.S. At a leadership position relative to other nations worldwide.
Professor Loeb, you enlighten us every time. To your point about dating, I was thinking that, after a while, you truly start to think there is something to that book and that thought process that women are from Mars and men are from Venus. Thanks so much for being on the show. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. Everyone, it's about 3:25. Give us just 2 minutes. We'll be back. Welcome back, everyone. 3:26 right now. And of course, There's been so much conversation about the ramped up immigration and customs efforts here in our area, particularly back in the fall. I mean, it really dominated our coverage for weeks, for months. And then there were discussions and analysis and investigations, even after the ramped up efforts kind of started to die down a bit. There was still a lot of okay, what comes next and what just happened and where do we go from here? All of those questions. Well, this week we got a statement from the Kane County State's Attorney as she had been investigating a particular incident that happened in Elgin, I believe. And in that statement, it says that despite her finding state law to have been broken, she is unable to charge a federal agent who used force against protesters. A lot of people want answers, and we actually have Kane County State's Attorney Jamie Mosser back with us. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Hi, thank you for having me back again.
I'm sure, especially in today's climate, 2026, it did not take long for people to start to want to reach out to you after hearing about this. Tell us about doing this investigation and how you came to the findings that you did.
Sure. So it's actually the Elgin Police Department that did the investigation. In addition to having responded on that particular day on December 6th, they did a significant amount of follow-up investigation, talking to people who were identified as being there, obtaining video from them, as well as photographs, getting additional statements. They then turned all of that information over to me, and anything additional that they received during that time period, they would share with me so I can review it. So since that time, I've reviewed hundreds of hours of body camera, squad camera, photographs, and videos that were from people who were on the scene. I listened to the people who were interviewed, and then we did a significant amount of research. It was very easy for us to see that there was a violation of Illinois law because it's very clear in Illinois you are not allowed to use excessive force on an individual, including shooting somebody in the face with a pepper ball gun. Then we had to do a lot of research into federal law because the supremacy clause of the Constitution is what controls here. And because they were federal agents acting under the color of federal law, we had to see whether or not we were able to charge them given what federal law says in that they have the jurisdiction over federal agents unless we can prove that they were not acting within their scope of duty and the actions committed by them were not reasonable under federal law, not state law, federal law.
So yes, there's state law, there's federal law. The federal law essentially trumps the state law. But your statement was not unlike the Cook County State's Attorney in saying, I can't charge. People would question, does that leave the agents void of accountability?
So not necessarily, because the federal government can hold them accountable because, again, they're federal agents. The whole point of the supremacy clause is that when we have state law and state actors, we deal with that. When the federal law has federal actors and federal law, then they deal with it. That's the whole purpose of our constitutions. And so the federal government can come in and hold agents accountable for what they do based on their law. I can't because I am a state prosecutor who can only hold people accountable under the state law and not when it is in opposition to what federal law has been passed. And I understand the frustration level, especially for those individuals who are harmed as a result of all of this. But just like the Cook County State's Attorney has said over and over again, we're bound by the law and ethically we have to follow it.
So let me ask you this, because of course, you would think presumably the federal government that sends the federal agents to these areas wouldn't necessarily find them at fault then for what it put in motion. So for those people who may have felt victimized at some point in time from the agents and in the harm, especially the pepper ball incident that you mentioned there, is there anything that they can do?
Yes, so they can make complaints with the Department of Justice and they can make complaints with the agencies that sent the individuals out because those are the agencies who govern what happens with the federal agents. The other part is we need a change in the federal legislation. We need to make sure that if people are coming out, even for federal immigration or any type of federal investigation, they're still bound by the laws of the state. And that's something to go to the federal legislators because we need to change this. When these laws were created, I don't know that anybody envisioned something like this would happen. So again, as much as I would love to hold these individuals accountable, these ICE agents accountable for what they did in my county, I still have to follow federal law.
And what are you, we have, seen that there have been some Cinco de Mayo celebrations or parades that have been canceled for next week because people are still living in fear. But also because they're hearing, and we spoke with one of the organizers, that some of the efforts, the ramped up efforts that we saw in the fall are kind of starting to get ramped up again, maybe just looking a little different. Are you hearing some of the same?
I am. I'm hearing that our community is still fearful of what has happened in the past, and frankly, with the warmer weather coming, everybody's fearful that we're going to see another operation like what we did with Midway Blitz. I hope that isn't the case for our community because I don't want to see what happened in December in Elgin and what has happened throughout the state of Illinois and through other states continue to occur. I want us to try to figure out how we can not harm our community further because of all of this. And that's part of the reason why we have made suggestions to amend the Trust Act so that we can really allow local police officers to protect our community from incidents like this happening ever again.
And a part of your findings, you said you didn't see, and I know this came up in a lot of complaints because people really don't see the difference when local officers end up on the scene of what federal agents have caused. They don't see the difference in local officers participating or protecting, or what is the line that's drawn. They don't see the difference there. But you did say that even though you found that the federal agents did act maybe counterintuitively in those situations, that you didn't find that Elgin police were at fault.
Correct. I looked at all of the body camera, and so the Elgin police officers actually arrived after the excessive use of force that was done by the ICE agents in this particular situation. And when the Elgin police officers arrived, they were able to get people who needed medical attention to get that medical attention. They used de-escalation tactics to calm things down. When protesters were asking them questions, they answered those questions. Even ICE agents were trying to get them to intervene, and Elgin did not do that. I have to say the Elgin Police Department acted exactly within the scope of the law by neither interfering with the actions of the lawful, I have to say this carefully, the lawful actions of the ICE agents. They came after what I believe was the excessive use of force. If Elgin had been there during that time, I do believe Elgin would have intervened because they can intervene when there's excessive use of force. They cannot intervene because there's an immigration enforcement. And I think that they followed the Trust Act. They did everything respectfully. They calmed everything down, and they made sure the people who needed medical assistance got the assistance that they needed.
So in a light of us saying, and both of us hearing, and from respective people that we've spoken to, that the efforts may in fact be starting back up again, we spoke a lot about like a know your rights type of thing. You'd be the perfect person to speak to what are people supposed to do if they do see federal agents acting in their community sometime soon or sometime in the later future. What are people supposed to do, and what lines do they have? What capabilities do they have? What are their rights?
So federal agents are allowed to do both civil and criminal enforcement of immigration issues. Whether or not we agree with it, they're allowed to do that. when they are enforcing both civil and criminal immigration enforcement, if they're attempting to set up a perimeter, if they're attempting to take somebody into custody, people cannot interfere with that. It is their lawful authority, and if an ICE agent gives a lawful directive, like to move away, to back up, to go to a certain area, that's something people should follow. On the other side, people are allowed to protest. They're allowed to have a First Amendment right. They are allowed to express their displeasure, but they cannot do so in a way that either breaks the law or interferes with their immigration enforcement, because that is also breaking a law. So a lot of what we saw on December 6th were people peacefully protesting, people saying what they wanted, but a lot of other individuals who were throwing snowballs, who were throwing sticks, who are making threats, who are disobeying the commands of the ICE agents to back up. And that's really where there was this huge conflict, because ICE wasn't de-escalating, ICE was engaging, and there wasn't a clear perimeter set up to allow them to do what they needed to do, which they can by law, versus what the community can do by law, which is to protest.
Kane County State's Attorney Jamie Mosser, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me again.
All right, take care. Have a good weekend.
You too.
It's about 3:38, everyone. JD is in the house, so give us 2 minutes. We'll bring him in and we'll talk about our weather. Welcome back, everyone. 3:40. JD Rudd is joining me now so that we can talk about this weather outside. They say variety is the spice of life. He was asking me, how is the people watching today? There's not much variety.
No,
everyone just looks cold.
A little bland today. It's just kind of, I mean, yeah, I get it. It's chilly out there, so fine. A lot of coats, a lot of scarves. Maybe there's a brave soul in shorts today. There's always one.
Okay, all right, I'll give you that. I will give you that.
And I will tell you, after years in television, there's always one photographer that's in shorts year round.
Now, that is true. That is so true. Every station has at least one, yeah.
Just refuses to own or wear a pair of pants.
Yeah, you were right about that. So where are we going with this?
Well, listen, you can't fall off the floor, so you have to go up. But that said, the floor hasn't happened yet. That comes tonight into tomorrow. We have that frost advisory in place for tonight for much of the area. Temperatures temperatures dipping down to about 33, 34. So we've been preaching this for a while. Wait till after Mother's Day to get those plants out there.
Yeah, we spoke with Chalet just a short while ago, and goodness, I know when we have the 70s a few weeks ago, a lot of people wanted to get out in their yards. Now they may be regretting
You're getting that wrong headspace. And listen, let's put the blame where it needs to be. These home and garden stores that put this stuff out there early, that entice us with these great deals and this lovely variety, you can't help yourself but buy some of these things and want to get them outside and then scurry around on nights like tonight to cover them up with burlap or sheets or something like that to keep them safe.
Yeah, a little extra work for a lot of folks out there. Are we done with the rain? I mean, I know it was still kind of sprinkling this morning.
When you say done with the rain, so we have a few spotty showers today. That should go away by this evening. We should be dry tonight. Tomorrow looks dry. Sunday, rain chances come back a little bit. Monday, a little rain chance. Tuesday, a little rain chance. It's not big time nasty storms or big heavy rain, but it's just this
a lot of bad hair days.
I know. We can't win. We can't.
Sounds like a lot of bad hair days.
It's a hat and hair tie kind of a day, something like that for sure. And in the mix of all that, while we have rain chances, we have got up and down temperatures, and we've got a couple of windy days ahead. Not so much tomorrow, but Sunday looks like a pretty windy day. So it'll be warmer on Sunday, windier as well, and a chance of showers. Oh joy, oh great.
Right. Yeah. Hello, May.
Yeah, well, a buffet of temperatures and a buffet of weather to kick off the 5th month of the year.
Oh,
there's a 7-day forecast.
Oh, where is the sun?
It's behind the clouds. The sun is always shining, Anita. It's just we have to break through those clouds to get there. That's the problem. And we'll get some sunshine tomorrow, I think. We'll even see some sun on Sunday at times, just a few showers here and there. Monday, Tuesday, kind of look like cloudy days. Wednesday, more clouds than sun, maybe a leftover shower. I'm just more disappointed by the fact that we get one day of 70s before we fall back down to the 50s for 3 days in a row. So we can't quite get there. We're trying. We will eventually, and I feel like this happens every single year. We have this little back and forth, and then all of a sudden, we're head first. Keep in mind,
all of a sudden, it's summer.
It's summer. I believe it's May the 10th on average is our first day of seeing 90-degree temperatures in Chicago.
Really?
On average, we get 90. The first time it happens is on the 10th of May. We had one day last May in the 90s. It was 94 degrees.
Okay, next Friday is the 8th. We're not on track.
But listen, if you go beyond this 7-day forecast, I've seen some indications that would suggest just beyond next weekend, 80 to about 85 degrees. What? The switch gets flipped like crazy around here because it goes both ways. Like in the fall months, it's warm, it's great, and then all of a sudden, boom, it gets cold. And we go, whoa, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
It's the flip this time of year. It's mild, it's okay, and then all of a sudden it gets hot, and you go, wait a minute, what happened here?
It's gonna stick in my mind now.
That's on average.
I know.
On average.
I'm not gonna hold you to it,
Well, you should.
but
You should.
it'll be in my mind.
Keep my feet to the fire. Hold me accountable.
It'll be in my mind.
And if it doesn't work out, then I'm gone and out of here in a few weeks, which I will be when Emily comes back. That's why I can get away with these things. I'm just temporary right now. It's all good.
No, we're gonna keep you around here, man. You gotta stay around.
The floors do look a little dirty. I can take care of that. I can sweep on the windows.
Can use
maybe
you somehow.
I know. I can people watch for you. I can report on what I see on the street.
That's tough work.
It's
it is
not
tough
easy.
work. Yeah, somebody's got to do it though. Thank you for coming up. We'll see you
Absolutely.
at 4 o'clock, everyone. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be back with our final conversation for the day here on Chicago Live. Welcome back, everyone. If you love antiquing, especially as we go into a weekend, I mean, you can do it throughout the week, but the weekend is like prime time for antiquing. There's a new place for you to hit, okay? It's tucked into Andersonville, and we have Karen Castillo-Mavros, who is the owner of Vintiques and Company, joining me now. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I love even just the setting that you're in right now. So I know that you are the person to talk to. Tell us a little bit about the new place.
Yeah, so we are at 5432 North Clark Street in Andersonville, called Vintiques and Company. We have 15 vendors in almost 2,000 square feet, curated everything from art, antiques, mid-century modern, furniture, and so much more.
Mm-hmm. And you also own the new Lincoln Antique Mall in Irving Park. How'd you get into antiquing?
Yeah, so just growing up, going garage sailing and whatnot, and just as I got older, the thrill of the resale definitely got me into kind of the resale setting, and just love kind of repurposing things or reusing versus just buying new. So it's really important for the environment and just sustainability.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like, I mean, obviously antique stores have been around forever, but I do feel like there's a new or renewed love of antique stores or zest for them right now.
Absolutely. So we're seeing all generations, especially younger people, wanting to kind of get away from buying things at big box stores and really buy things that have a story, that maybe are made a lot better. Things like clothing were made in single source fabrics that are made to last, and you can really find some great fashion out there, but also furniture, art, and so much more that has a story to tell. So I think people are really embracing things with a story and, keeping things out of a landfill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a great point there. I do feel like sometimes it takes some strategy. How would you tell someone to strategize going into the new store?
Yeah, so I think the main thing with either store or any store that you go into, you really have to have an open mind, and not be set looking for something specific all the time. For instance, you can come in looking maybe for a piece of furniture and then find beautiful art that might complement, the furniture piece that you don't find here, but you find at a neighboring antique store or thrift store. So also for clothing and fashion, we have some great true vintage fashion in both locations. Trying on things that maybe you wouldn't try on normally. Maybe you're afraid of color. Try things with patterns and color. Try things in the menswear department or the ladies department, just to kind of, there's lots of unisex happening too. So don't be afraid to try something new or to mix, things that you already have at home, different furniture pieces and that type of thing with maybe a piece of vintage, furniture or decor.
Yeah, I have really fallen in love with videos of women who take they'll go to like a vintage store, they'll find like a men's blazer and then upcycle them. I'm amazed every time at what they're able to do.
Absolutely. And one thing that's really popular now, and has been popular for a little while, are brooches.
Mm-hmm.
So people, men and women, are embracing layering on lots of brooches on their lapels or using menswear ties as belts or maybe headbands, or tying them in different knot styles and then layering brooches on top of those. So it's really fun to be able to be creative and like share your own sense of style through fashion. But also as people walk into your house, it's fun to be able to do that with decor too.
Yeah, I think the world of it all. And I wonder, I was just saying to someone the other day, I was like, am I creative enough to come up with those things. Like, I love watching it, you know? But am I creative enough to do it? Tell me this, if someone is new to the world of antiquing and they come in, you know, where would you start if you were starting from the beginning?
I would come into one of my stores, either the new Lincoln Antique Mall or Vintiques and Company. Our staff is here to help guide you through, whether it's the first time you've ever walked into our store or another secondhand shop or antique mall. We can help guide you along the way, giving you the space you need, but also, you know, helping you kind of unleash that nostalgia of things that, you know, we always hear, like, oh, my grandma had this, I remember this, or this, you know, emotes this emotion from my childhood or whatnot, and then building from there. So, and as far as for fashion, like, you can absolutely pull it off. I would say don't be afraid to try something, you know, that you wouldn't normally try on and layer it. I think there's really no rules now. There's not, you know, you have to put stripes with stripes or stripes with solids or anything. People are just layering all types of things and having fun with it. It's all about, you know, we're in the business of embracing and having a good time, selling vintage things, you know, protecting the environment and having fun along the way. And that's what we want our, you know, team as well as our customers to feel.
I feel like you have a wonderful location in Andersonville. What made you want to open up there?
Oh gosh, so the sense of community, they have an amazing chamber of commerce. Every time I shop there, you know, everyone's so friendly. It's almost like a community, a small town community feel, but in obviously a huge city. So I think that was, you know, our main reason for wanting to kind of get in that neighborhood. And there's such a demand for what we do. So it's a perfect way for us to bring and support small businesses. Like I said, we have 15 small businesses that are within our shop. So being able to help them grow their businesses in such a robust neighborhood was super important.
Well, I certainly hope that people will come out. I'm seeing you have, what is the actual opening date?
So we soft opened 2 weeks ago. This morning was our ribbon cutting for our grand opening, and now we are open. We're open 11 to 7 every day except 11 to 5 on Sundays. Right now we are closed on Tuesdays for the next month or so as we just kind of work out some kinks and get a flow going, but then we'll be open 7 days.
I think the world of it, and I hope that you all are so successful. Thank you for coming on this show. I'll ask you before I let you go, like, what is the best item you've ever found in an antique store?
Oh my gosh, that's such a hard question. I would say it would have to be like a Matisse paint, you know, line drawing or sketch. So a piece of art. I think people, you know, a lot of times walk past stacks of art. You really have to go through it and see what gems are there.
Always some gems. You just got to do the searching. Thank you so much. I hope that you all have a wonderful first full weekend open.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Take care. Best of luck. Love to see new businesses opening up. It's a beautiful thing, whether they're on the Mag Mile, and we've talked about several of the businesses coming back to the Mag Mile, or whether it's in Andersonville. We love to hear about it, love to tell people about it, hope that they're all successful, because it helps all of us in the end to see these businesses thrive. Let's take a quick 2-minute break, everyone. Then we're going to come back and close out the show for the week. Welcome back, everyone. We always appreciate you being here with us throughout the week for Chicago Live. We'll be right back here on Monday from 1 to 4. I was just kind of looking over what's coming up for you on the 4 o'clock newscast. Obviously, they're going to be covering Mayday, the activities that are happening both here in Chicago. We've had big rallies that are still continuing on right now, but then they also have a string of wonderful announcements that took place today at Leo Catholic High School. We're always rooting for the team there at Leo Catholic High School, and so you don't want to miss that. Plus, the updates on the weather. JD, who came up here moments ago, he's going to go more in depth.
Right. So why? Why do they need to do that? Because stirring the pot is what we do sometimes. Have a good weekend,
Good luck
everybody.
to them.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at 4.
Look at this crowd in Chicago today. We're asking people, why did you come out for Mayday?
Another person in cuffs after a Chicago officer was killed. What